This is a collaborative project where we have invited a neurodivergent artist to come to the ADHD research lab and to document their experience as they go through an entire cognitive neuroscience experiment.
I'm not a neuroscientist, but for some reason I've been really intrigued by how the brain works and the nervous system, and I think my own lived experience and my own stuff as an art therapist, I wanted to kind of link all these things and make it into an art project.
One thing that science has historically done really well is put people in little boxes and kept everything nice and neat and tidy. So we'll have you because you have ADHD, we won't have you because you've also got depression. And so what you end up with is a lot of knowledge about this almost mythical group of people, this very small subset that fit this perfect little box science wants to put them in. And I think it's quite important now to recognise that we really need to represent how people exist.
Traditionally, we have been seen as objects of research, and I want to see a shift from that perspective to neurodivergent people as being co-creators, co-designers, co-researchers.
A problem in current scientific research is that a lot of people are treated as subjects. In participatory research, we want to treat them as participants, actual active participants in the process. So we proactively ask them what works, what doesn't, what does it feel like to go through the experiment, and we create our protocols based on that feedback.
Partly there is this need to bring art and science together. The public society, they separate them a little bit, and that actually makes people scared of one. You know, I'm not interested in science because it's scary and it's, you know, I'm more artistic than I am scientific, and I think these two things have to come together. Often the people that produce these great works of art were doing so using scientific knowledge. You know, one of the things that always strikes me is we think of Da Vinci as a great artist. Actually also was the first person to show some of the cranial nerves through anatomical drawings.
Scientists have a notoriously obscure way of communicating scientific results.
You go to a conference and you talk about your research there, you write a paper and you talk about your research there, but this kind of communication often isn't super accessible, both to the general public, but also to neurodivergent people, whether they are the general public or whether they're researchers.
So working with an artist is helping us bring a different perspective, a different communication style that we hope is going to reach more people.
I feel like there's a lot of imagery in my head, more than words, a lot of like ideas that I just want to get out, and I feel like I'm really holding it in my body right now from doing the test.
Art is an alternative way to talk about abstract ideas in a tangible way.
I just want to get that out and process it and understand how I found that, how it felt to me.
Scientists are viewed as not creative people because we go through set processes and we follow instructions and all of this stuff. But actually the creativity in what we do is in deciding what questions to ask in the first place. Science is a very creative thing. It's just our creativity comes in here. And I think with artists, their creativity comes in at the other end. So being able to bring these two things together for me is just really exciting.
Our goal for this mixed media that they're going to create is to capture what it feels like for a neurodivergent participant to go through this experiment so we can share it with the world.
And I hope that by offering some visuals to go with the neuroscience and my experience of being neurodivergent, people can learn about themselves, learn about people around them.
What we know about these conditions so far is from a very medical model of them. So we're trying to fix people in the research. And I think maybe we need to take a broader approach because that's going to, I think, has the potential to offer greater benefits.
Different people have different brains, different minds, and we work in different ways.
Understand difference, not in the sense of just mental illness, but in like neurodivergency of people just having a different way of experiencing the world, of processing things. That's what I really want to get in my art and have that, be seen.
We're going to be able to see how these people who consider themselves to be neurodivergent, how they are creating opportunities for society. There are things that they are better at than those that aren't neurodivergent, and at the moment we are missing all that information.
Participatory research has many benefits. One of them, of course, is the experience of neurodivergent participants themselves, which is a lot better when researchers have worked beforehand with neurodivergent people to design the protocol.
If we don't make it inclusive, we're doing research on people, not for and with people.
The other benefit is that it makes the results more applicable, more useful in the real world.
So I think it's just a really exciting thing to bring two very different ends or types of creativity together and just see what happens.
Ultimately, what we hope to achieve is to help having more honest conversations about the experience of neurodivergent participants in scientific experiments and to make them more inclusive in the future.
People might see something in the art and really relate to it, or if it's different, they might have never known about something like that, and then they can learn about people.
Right now we have this focus on neurodivergent voices in academia and in research, and in the future I would love to focus even more from the art and curational perspective as well, and to keep blurring that line between the two fields, because arts and science are not two separate entities.
This project for me is the first step in a journey of what I hope will be a series of very successful collaborations going forward. We're hoping first and foremost that this project sends a clear signal to neurodivergent people that we want your involvement, we value your involvement, and we want to work with you. Going forward, I hope that this will also trigger other labs, other scientists to start to think in similar terms and bring art into the lab, bring artists into the lab, and hopefully where they're doing neurodiversity research, bring in neurodivergent artists.